Okay, well, for those of you celebrating Holy Week, he got up, and happy Good Friday. Welcome to another broadcast on WIN TV. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer, and I hope you've had a chance to pick up a copy of this week's Washington Informer. I had to do my morning stretch to pick up my copy of the Washington Informer. We got a great issue this week. So I hope you've gotten out to, I know it's a little drizzly today, but it was on the stands yesterday, and you should be able to find copies over the weekend. But pick up a copy of this week's Washington Informer. I know you're going to enjoy and learn a lot and get a lot out of this week's issue. If you haven't had a chance to actually pick up the print edition, because we are still printing, go ahead and read the digital edition online, where you can find us at www.washingtoninformer.com. Again, that's washingtoninformer.com. This week, we also feature our 2023 Citywide Spelling Bee, a special section on the inside of the paper celebrating, wow, some of the city's top spellers. The Washington Informer has been publishing for 58 years, but can you believe it? We've been sponsoring the DC Citywide Spelling Bee for 41 years. And we are so excited when these young spellers get up there and compete with one another, and we end up with one of the top spellers of the city. And there's some challenging words, I have to tell you, but it's always a great experience, and you can share in that experience if you watch. You can go online on Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock. That's Tuesday, April the 11th at 7, and watch the broadcast version of the Spelling Bee on the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment on their website. And we will also be broadcasting that live, not live, but the recorded Spelling Bee from our website here at washingtoninformer.com. So we hope that you will join us, but if not, pick up a copy of this special section, and you'll really want to just shout for joy as you see these young spellers who competed a couple of weeks ago. But I can't tell you who the winner was. You have to watch, or you have to get a copy of the paper to find out who that was. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and hit share so your followers can see the broadcast. And if you're watching on Twitter, be sure to follow us. We look forward to following you back. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Washington Informer TV. No spaces, just Washington Informer TV. We would love for you to be a part of the Washington Informer family. So visit us online, sign up for our weekly newsletter, daily newsletter, where you can read all the stories that we publish in the newspaper and more. And we would love for you to be a part of our community. So don't hesitate. Do it now. Got to come up with a phrase for that, Chevy. But anyway, as we celebrate Earth Month, Jazz Appreciation, and the upcoming Carter Barron fundraiser, we are honored to have a diverse array of guests with us today. Starting with the Prince George's County State's Attorney, Aisha Braveboy, who will be discussing the upcoming State of Justice Symposium, and our Prince George's County reporter will be with us in that conversation. We also have renowned environmentalist Dennis Chestnut of the Resilience Hub Community Coalition, who will be sharing his efforts to promote environmental awareness in the community and share insights on how we all can do our part to protect the environment. Earth Day is coming up on April the 22nd, so you want to make sure that you are not unaware of Earth Day, because this is the day that matters to all of us. I don't care who you are. We've got to protect our planet. So our environmental reporter, Kayla Benjamin, will be on with Dennis Chestnut to talk about Earth Day and some other things that we're doing here at the Washington Informer, but also to know how you all, those of you in the audience, can also do your part to make sure that the Earth is a place where our children can live in future generations. We have the talented jazz singer MAYSA. Boy, are we looking forward to our conversation with her, who will be talking about her new project and the importance of jazz appreciation in our society, with our phenomenal entertainment writer, Brenda Seiler. They will have a wonderful discussion, I'm sure. And finally, we have the president and CEO of Friends of the Carter Barron Foundation of Performing Arts Business, and that's Gloria Hightower, who is an institution here in Washington, D.C., and who's been fighting for years about to try to bring back the Carter Barron. Those of us who are native Washingtonians who have been in the city for a long time, that's one of the places that we've always went for summer entertainment. And looks like there's some light being shined on the Carter Barron. So we are looking forward to the conversation with Gloria, as well with Brenda, to talk about what's happening there. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show as we delve into these important topics and celebrate the beauty of our planet and cultural heritage. But before we bring on our guests, let's watch our weekly news broadcast by Curtis Knowles.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters. Packer Sanitation Services Incorporated has appointed a new CEO amid fallout from a Labor Department investigation that found more than 100 children illegally working dangerous jobs for the company, cleaning slaughterhouses in 13 locations across 8 states. The new CEO, Tim Mulhere, will take over at the end of April for retiring CEO Dan Taft. The company has denied knowingly hiring child labor and has said in the past that the only way that a minor could have been employed was through rogue attempts to use fake identification. The company, owned by the Blackstone private equity firm, said it was also launching a new $10 million fund to, quote, enhance the well-being of children in the communities we serve and helping reduce the prevalence of the rising problem of underage workers. Bob Lee, a technology executive who founded the mobile payment company Cash App and previously worked at Square, died Tuesday after he was stabbed near downtown San Francisco. San Francisco police said officers responded to a report of a stabbing around 2:35 a.m. The officers found the 43-year-old man with apparent stab wounds, where he was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries where he later passed. No arrests appear to have been made as of early Wednesday, and police are declining to release more information because the homicide is still an active investigation. Richard Lee, Bob's father, commented on his son's passing saying, quote, "Bobby worked harder than anyone and was the smartest person I've ever known. He will be missed by all those that knew him." Maryland Governor Wes Moore said Monday that Paul Montero, a former chief of staff to the president of Howard University and former Obama administration official, will lead a new service year program for high school graduates as the new secretary of the Department of Service and Innovation. The post-high school program will consist of participants receiving a stipend and employment experience for a year working for the government and the private and nonprofit sectors on behalf of serving the community. Montero commented saying, quote, "Our aim is to build an authentic, substantive, and challenging experience for our graduates to obtain invaluable hard and soft skills and financial support to pursue higher education, even as they use the year to discern where their interests and talents are best developed and hopefully finding a sense of greater purpose for their lives." Former President Donald Trump pleaded not guilty Tuesday to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records related to his alleged role in hush money payments towards the end of his 2016 presidential campaign. Judge Juan Merchan set a December 4th date for the next hearing in the Manhattan District Attorney's case against Trump. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg included 34 criminal charges, all felonies related to falsifying business records to hide other crimes, including illegally pumping up his presidential campaign with ill-gotten cash. Trump became the first former U.S. president to ever be arrested and criminally charged, and this comes after becoming the first to have ever been impeached twice.
Thank you so very much, Curtis. That was our broadcast, and he brings us some of the news that you will find in the Washington Informer and other special stories that are impacting Americans all over the country. So we're always glad to have Curtis to join us for that broadcast. But joining us now, along with our Prince George's County reporter, Richard Elliott, well, we're going to bring Richard in first. Richard, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm ready to interview. I want to get a background as good as yours, but I moved the chair so there's a better view today.
No problem. No problem. You can always sit in this seat if you ever feel so inspired. But I'm glad that you're going to be here, and we're going to bring on now Aisha Brave, State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy, for our conversation today. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello, Mr. Elliott. It's great to see you.
Hello, Madam State's Attorney. My mother says hello.
Oh, wonderful. I see you're representing for the HBCUs. So that's wonderful.
I did not go to UMES, but
it's okay, but you're representing.
I got to shout them out.
Awesome. Hello, Ms. Barnes.
How are you today?
Good.
I'm so glad you could take time from your busy schedule to join us. It's so much going on in Prince George's County, and you are right in the thick of a lot of it. And so I'm glad that Richard was here, and I'm going to let him just sort of toss the ball to him now and let you all continue with this conversation. And I'll see you in a second.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opener, Miss Denise. Good afternoon, Miss State's Attorney, Madam State's Attorney. I just registered a few minutes ago for your upcoming symposium. Can you tell our listening audience about it so they can know some information, particularly who should attend? Who's your target audience for this event?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. So we will be hosting our second annual State of Justice for Prince George's County on Thursday, April 13th at the Bowie State University, which happens to be the oldest HBCU in the state of Maryland. The doors open at 5 and the symposium will kick off at 6 p.m.
Okay, thank you. So the next question I have, what are some of the issues you plan to address during the symposium?
Sure. And I think I didn't answer your last question, which is who should attend? Everyone.
Everyone.
This event is open to the residents of Prince George's County, those who are youthful and those who are our super seniors. So we are asking everyone who is able to attend to come out because we will be discussing issues that impact us all. So we will absolutely be talking about the work of the state's attorney's office. We will go into detail describing each of the units that works and functions within our office to make our justice system work. We will also talk about very key issues that I think are hot on people's mind, like juvenile crime, guns, carjackings, as well as the changing marijuana laws that will impact not only our residents and what they can do, but also how the criminal justice system responds to the odor of marijuana. So it's going to be a really, I think, comprehensive, interesting, hopefully a little bit of fun, conference as well, but it will give people the tools they need to understand the justice system, how to access us, what to expect from us, and some of the issues of the future.
Yes, and I have to applaud you for making it accessible. The event is free, and you can get as many tickets as you need to. I secured 2 tickets, one for myself and one for our photographer, Mr. Tillman.
Awesome.
So here's a question for you. Should we wait to hear your address, or do you want to talk now about how you'd rate the ongoing state of criminal justice and public safety in the county?
Well, let me just say this. We can always have conversations. I'm open to having conversations about the work that we're doing and some of the issues that we're seeing in our community. I think it's important to have these conversations any chance we get, because some folks won't be able to attend the symposium. And so when I have a forum like this, I love to be able to, just talk about issues that may be important to your listeners.
Thank you. One question we have, your office has done a great job in promoting the hiring of returning citizens and talking about during the recent event with the county about procurement. You applauded county businesses which have been instrumental in hiring returning citizens. What else can the community do directly to help reduce crime and improve public safety in measures like that?
Well, absolutely. So let me say that my office does pride itself on leading by example. And so as we work to make our community safer, what we recognize is recidivism is a problem in our justice system. And so providing people with real opportunities to get gainful employment or skills is absolutely critical for our safety. It's not just about helping someone out. It's not just about giving someone a second chance. Yes, it's that too, but it's also about creating an environment where we are all safer. And so, what we can do is we can all play a part in being a mentor to someone who's coming home. We can all look at opportunities to just improve their lives. Some of them need clothing. Some individuals just need counseling. Some need, financial resources. And to the extent that there are opportunities to give to entities like Adams House that serves the returning population, we ask that if you have the ability to do so, please do so. So those are some ways. And of course, businesses being open. I know that the county council passed a bill a few years ago that created incentives for companies to hire returning citizens. So working with the it's the new work Employ Prince George's. I was trying to remember the name of Employ Prince George's. So getting in touch, if you're an employer, with Employ Prince George's to find out how your company can actually access resources to help pay the salaries of those returning citizens that you want to give a second chance to see if, hey, does this person fit within my my business environment? And if so, then they can remain in that environment for as long as both parties believe there's a benefit. But part of the risk that they're assuming by maybe hiring someone who has a record is what the county has looked at and said, you know what, we know that this may for some people be a risk. We want to incentivize them to take that risk. And so there are companies that have benefited from that already, and there are more companies that can benefit from that.
Okay, thank you. And again, I want to highlight that her office has been instrumental in even hiring returning citizens and making sure that people have opportunities when they come home. The last question I want to ask you, Sine Die is on Monday, the last day of legislative session in Annapolis. Is there anything you want any listening legislators to ensure passes to make your job easier and to make public safety better in Prince George's County?
Absolutely. Well, there's a couple of bills that didn't get as far this year as we'd like them to, but there's always next year, and that happens when a bill comes up for the first time. So there's some, but there is legislation that has been passed that we are really excited about, and one is the Safe Harbor bill. That bill really addresses the issue of juveniles who are victims of human trafficking, who commit other crimes because they are forced to do so because they are victims. And in the past, they have been prosecuted by certain states' attorneys' offices across the state of Maryland. And these are individuals who are true victims. They really don't have a choice in the situation. Our average age of a human trafficking victim is between the ages of 12 and 14. So we're talking about very young individuals who have, through no fault of their own, are caught up in the most dangerous situations. And sometimes they are forced to do things that they wouldn't otherwise do. And we want to protect them. We want them to testify against their traffickers. We want to hold those who are truly responsible accountable. And we need to treat them like victims. And so that bill was having a little bit of problems. I went out and spoke up on that bill along with some of my colleagues from across the state, and we were able to get that bill passed about a week or so ago. So we're excited about that. We look forward to the governor signing that piece of legislation.
State's Attorney Brave Boy, thank you so very much for being with us. And Richard has his questions, and I have a couple myself, but I'm not going to go into that. But because one, I'm getting ready to pull you into a fight that's not yours. But it's interesting in the district how I guess it's the Attorney General of Virginia and our chairperson here and the mayor in the District of Columbia are now, beginning to kind of have a feud almost on what's causing the violence that's crossing state lines. There's been a lot of conversation, I think, regionally with folks about how to address, some of the violence. Not that I want you to step into that battle, but I mean, was there a reaction that you had when you saw or heard what happened yesterday?
Yeah, I have some thoughts on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it is fair to say that where there is, I think people who are living in challenging circumstances, that crime, unfortunately, typically follows. So when I look at, even in Prince George's County, the areas that have the most crime are really concentrated in those areas where there is lower income and lower opportunities for advancement. And so there are areas of the district, just like there are areas of Prince George's County, and there are areas of Virginia too, where individuals are living in challenged situations, and there are choices being made by very young people sometimes that are dangerous choices, that are a danger to themselves and our community. But one of the reasons for this increase in danger here is the increase in the availability of guns. And one of the things that I heard from Chairman Mendelson is that he wants to engage in a conversation about the guns that are coming from Virginia. And so Maryland, the District of Columbia, we've taken a lot of steps to prevent the proliferation of illegal guns in our states. And so a lot of the guns that are being trafficked into our states and in our state or the district and used in the commission of offenses don't originate in our state. And so we do need our border states and other states across the country to look at their gun laws, their policies around gun shows, their policies around who can purchase weapons, having background checks and mental health checks and screenings, and all of those things are important. So I think it's a much fuller and more robust conversation than just, well, there are some residents from the District of Columbia committing crimes here. Well, how are they committing those crimes? What tools are they using and where are they getting them from? So I think that conversation should be had.
I appreciate that. And then my last question to you is, April is National Child Abuse Month. And I haven't really heard a lot, but you talked about child trafficking.
Yes.
How serious is a problem is that, in Maryland, just what children are experiencing? What are you saying, and what should we do about it?
Well, human trafficking is a big issue in the state of Maryland. I believe we're in the top 5 states in terms of human trafficking. And again, this affects young people the most. But when it comes to just child abuse, child sexual assault, we see that as a definite threat to our young people. Our office prosecutes those cases routinely. And many of the stories you hear are just absolutely heartbreaking. And we have to put the victim on the stand to testify. And the victims, when you look at these victims, I mean, they look like babies. They're young kids. And the things that people will do to children, it would break your heart. Mm-hmm. And so we are actually going to be putting on a press conference in light of, Child Abuse Prevention Month to talk about some of those cases that we tried in our courthouse, that we were successful in pursuing, but then really the effects on that young person, even after we obtain what we can in terms of justice for them, how this affects them long term. So we're going to have a real conversation about the types of acts committed against children. I'm going to be raw about it because I think people need to understand and know what our children are facing. Right. And then, the types of sentences that we get against their abusers, as well as the type of treatment that these young people then will need. And oftentimes it's for the rest of their lives because of the trauma they experience as children.
I'm so glad that you had the opportunity to address that as well, and that you have a press conference coming up that we'll be there. Yes. Because we want to do our part to make sure that, I said child abuse prevention. I'm glad you mentioned that. So we want to be there to cover that as well. So I think we're ready to close out. Richard, any last questions or any last comments?
Nope. I asked all the questions I had. I want to say thank you to Madam State's Attorney, also the former chair of the Black Caucus in Annapolis. I want to give her stripes for what she's accomplished in the past, and we will see what she will accomplish in the future. Thank you for joining us, Madam State's Attorney.
Thank you so much, Mr. Elliott. I'll see you next week. And thank you so much, Ms. Rolock Barnes. Thank you.
All righty. Have a great day. Richard, take care. Bye-bye. Talk to you soon. All righty.
Thank you.
Okay. Move on now to talk about Earth Day. As I said, Earth Day is coming up on April the 22nd. The Washington Informer, keep your eyes open, is planning a wonderful Earth Day event, Earth Supplement, I should say, special edition on April the 20th. And leading that effort is our environmental justice reporter, Kayla Benjamin. Kayla, come on, and how are you?
I'm well. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, hey, this is home. So you're preparing for a big day this month. And I'm glad that you have the opportunity to interview Dennis Chestnut, who is a strong advocate in the environmental community. So we'll bring him on and I will step out of the way.
All right. Thanks so
Dennis.
much.
Hello.
Hey, Dennis, how are you today?
I'm fine, Kayla. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for being here. You're kind of, I would say, a towering figure in the environmental justice community in our region, and an award-winning river and Chesapeake Bay protector. So tell me a little bit about how you first got into all this environmental work, and what you're up to these days.
Sure. Well, I'd like to say thank you for this invitation and getting a chance to talk on a subject that I'm very, passionate about. Of course, I've committed myself to, and that's, improving the natural environment, especially, but the environment in general for, our community and where we live, work, and play. What really got me involved, I would say, initially would be being exposed to the natural environment growing up right here in Washington, D.C. And not to get too far into, that, but I grew up in far northeast, Ward 7, and just about a half mile away from the Anacostia River, and a stone's throw from Watts Branch, which is the largest tributary to the Anacostia River. So my childhood had me exposed to those natural resources. And also we are right in the middle of a lot of National Park Service land, whether it's the Civil War defenses, which make up the former Civil War forts, or one of our largest natural spaces over here in far northeast that's right on the banks of the Anacostia River, and that's Kenilworth Park. So I, was a product of the natural environment, but then after becoming an adult and really becoming aware of some of the things that were taking place, and then having a family also contributed to that, because it really became aware to me that certain things was important to do for the future of my children and grandchildren going forward. So I began by volunteering with, some of the organizations that have been operating here in the city for a long time, the Anacostia Watershed Society, for example, or Sierra Club, or Casey Trees. And one thing pretty much led to another. All of these organizations, nonprofits, are always looking for folks to help support the work that they do. So, I kind of got pulled in. And once I did, which I didn't mind, it was great work to be involved in. It led to me focusing more directly on my local community. And as a result, I founded a nonprofit organization called Groundwork Anacostia River, DC, and led that organization for nearly a decade before I retired in 2016 from the organization. But you can retire from, a job, so to speak, or some aspect of it, but you never really retire from the work. So here I am now, still involved to the extent I can be, and hoping to be able to move the needle forward as we go forward.
So nowadays you're involved with the community, tell me if I get this wrong, the Community Resilience Hub Coalition. And I really don't know much about it. So what is the work you're doing now?
Okay, well, and you got most of it correct. It's actually called the Resilience Hub Community Coalition.
Almost right.
Yes, and very interesting. I was actually earlier this week in another forum that was discussing, and it was a very interesting forum. It was actually an encore to a previous forum that I had been involved in with this with the same topic, and it was the topic of resilience. And I was with some folks from the Louisiana area who are really, kind of tired of them being expected to be quote unquote resilient, and so that's another whole discussion. But locally here, and I really, as I said, like to focus things as local as possible, starting with Washington, D.C., but even more narrowly to the community where I live, far northeast, Ward 7. And one of the things about this area is, and a lot of people are not familiar with it, but we hear about climate change. That's something that really needs to be understood more by more people, but it is a real situation that we're all facing. And as a result of that, one of the things that it has brought about is some climatic things that are referred to as disasters a lot of times, weather related a lot of times. That could be in the form of flooding, that could be in the form of extreme heat over extended periods of time, just a number of those kinds of things directly associated with climate change. So just so happens that far northeast Ward 7, here in Washington, D.C., we have something called floodplains. We're located within floodplains. There's a 100 and 500-year floodplain that, Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, the National Oceanographic Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, and others are really targeted on dealing with and working on. And one of the things that they're focused on is this area, because far northeast Ward 7 here in Washington, D.C., 85% at least of the properties that are located within the 100 and 500-year floodplain are located right here in far northeast Ward 7. So in the event of an extreme climatic event that brings about flooding, I mean, we've been seeing these things happen in most recently in various parts of the country, from the West Coast to the Midwest to even the South, some of the areas. And we've kind of dodged a few things, fortunately, in this latest process. But we're at some point, homes and residences and properties located in this floodplain will experience flooding. And so as a result of that, we came together working with the city, the Department of Energy and Environment, and some of the federal agency folks as well. And we developed a task force of local community members right here in Ward 7 that worked through a process which we called an equity advisory group that led to us forming this Resilience Hub community coalition. And it's primarily designed to create resilience for our community, to be prepared in the event of any kind of disruption. It could be, natural disaster related as far as weather is concerned, but it could be any number of other things. It's why I refer to it as disruptors. So while we operate in this normal state that we're in, we call it a steady state. This is the time for us to do the work, to do that preparation, to inform and educate the community, and to bring them into this process so that when a disruption happens, we're able to respond and bounce back and move forward as a community. So that's what the Resilience Hub Community Coalition is all about. And everyone will be hearing more about it as we go forward. We're launching this pilot in Ward 7, but we're looking to expand this throughout the entire city.
That's amazing. And I'm excited to connect with you more and hear more about the work that the coalition is doing, because resilience and adaptation are really, really important parts of this fight. While everyone is focused on cutting emissions, which I'll never say isn't important, super important, it's also really, really vital that we're thinking about what we do about the changes that are already coming. I'll wrap it up with one more question, which is, are you doing anything special to get out into nature or do some kind of particular volunteering for Earth Month now that it's April?
Oh, yes. Well, and I'm glad that, over the years it's finally began to be called Earth Month. because it's really important. This is a very important time of year. There's a transition underway naturally. Everything is blooming. We're getting a chance to get back outdoors and spend time and do those things. So it's really something that is more important than just one day. But Earth Day is very important. It's a great placeholder to get the focused attention on the importance of the things associated with it. So I'll be involved in probably a few things. There's something happening locally in my community. I always participate with one of the cleanups, and there's one happening on Earth Day in Marvin Gaye Park over here in Far Northeast Ward 7. That I'll be participating with that, but very likely we'll stop through one or two others because I've been invited, and you don't want to not show up when folks invite you. To some extent, they'll stop inviting you. So there's a few others, like some colleagues with the Kingman Island project. I'll probably stop through there, but I'm going to be really focused on the Marvin Gaye Park and Watts Branch cleanups on Earth Day.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And I'll give a shout out for our audience to know that to keep an eye on our social media and on the Our Earth page in the paper to hear more about events like the ones that Dennis is talking about. We have a great list in the paper this week of some of the events going on, both in terms of volunteering and in terms of learning about the environment this week and next, because these events are going on all month. And the Informer will be releasing information soon about what we're doing on Earth Day. So thanks so much for joining us, Dennis. And now I will pass the mic on to my colleague Brenda in the lifestyle section to give us a great interview with some amazing artists.
Thank you, Kayla, and thank you so much for that segment on us celebrating Earth Day, coming up Earth Month. Good afternoon. I'm Brenda Seiler. I'm a lifestyle writer for the Washington Informer, and I'm very excited to talk to you about two things. First, our guest today is MAYSA. She is celebrating the release of her 14th solo album. And we're all big fans of MAYSA, have been for a long time. And I want to get into the album with you, MAYSA. But first, I just want to make sure that our audience understands your background. You're from the area. You're an HBCU alumna from Morgan State University with a degree in classical performance.
Yes.
And I've always wanted to know, I've known that for a while, what were your objectives with a degree in classical performance?
Well, I was trained to be an opera singer, but I decided that I just love jazz and R&B way too much to not pursue that as a career.
Well, we have been the beneficiary of your change in terms of what you studied. Then you were picked up by Stevie Wonder. You were a part of his backup group, Wonder Love. And then you got a call from Bluey, who is the founder and lead of Incognito.
Yes.
Talk about that, getting with that group and being a part of such a wonderful group, a blend of different musicians, different voices, and getting into that vein. How did that grab you to be with them for so long, but yet still do your solo stuff?
Right. I mean, joining Incognito was a life-changing experience. I was touring the world before I knew it. As soon as probably just a couple months after being there and recording with them. After our first single came out together, Don't You Worry About a Thing, it just seemed like the magic really turned on high level. And we were everywhere, all over. We toured Japan probably. I think we went 5 times in 1 year to Japan. So we were on the road. Between that and then in 1995, getting my own record deal with GRP Records, I kind of ran my career in tandem. I had a solo career and a career as a lead singer of Incognito. So I've been able to do both for 32 years. I started with Incognito and 28 years of my own solo. So it's just been an amazing experience. It's a lot of work, and but I appreciate the work. It's been beautiful meeting everybody, hearing that my music is touching people. That's my goal in life. So I'm reaching these goals.
And now your 14th solo album is out. It is called Music for Your Soul.
Yes.
I could not believe when I ran down the list of cuts that you have 19 cuts
Yeah.
on this CD. Talk about that. It feels like maybe there was a time because of the pandemic, there were some things that you really couldn't do. And it almost felt like you had so much that was going on with you. You just wanted to get it out and have us love you even more.
All right. Well, I wanted to celebrate the fact that I put up this album on my own record label, Blue Velvet Soul Records. And it's my 14th. And I just want to do something super special and take us back to a time when double albums were the norm. You know, we were loved when artists had double albums, and you get chances to, sit there and watch and listen to, look at the album cover and read the liner notes and just immerse yourself into an experience for however long the album was worth. It was on all four sides if you had vinyl, and that was a big deal when I was a kid. So I wanted that experience again. And a lot of people were telling me, a lot of my colleagues in the industry were telling me that 19 songs is way too many because people don't have the attention span anymore. But I kind of disagreed. And I think that when people are driving or they're have long distances to go, or they cleaning their house, or they're having a party, that's the 19 songs is going to do just fine. And that's what's been happening. The response has been just that it doesn't feel like 19 songs.
No, and in fact, I must admit to you, when you said and people are driving, listening to the music, your first solo CD, simply called MAYSA, is one of my road songs. When my road albums, when it doesn't grow old. It's a beautiful CD. But let's talk about some of the selections that you have on your current CD. You have several duets. You brought in some friends to work with you on a couple of things. And Chris Walker, isn't he someone you've worked with before?
Yes,
I believe. And I think I've heard him on your kitchen karaoke.
Yeah, no, he hasn't been on kitchen karaoke yet, but Chris has his own thing he does on his own Facebook page. But I met Chris on the one of the cruises, Dave Cobb's cruise, I think. Well, before that, I think. But anyway, we started being more friends on the Dave Cobb's cruises. And when I reached out to my friends to, get some music and stuff for the album, he was one of the people that volunteered and gave me such a wonderful song called "Down with Me" that we wrote together. It's a song that he had written a long time ago. He pulled it out of his vault and shared it with me, and it was perfect for the album.
And then you have a wonderful collaboration with Kirk Whalum.
Yes.
Kirk Whalum is always someone that I found to be very faith-oriented, very spiritual. And that is what the two of you all have given us in the selection that's called Lord, I Thank You.
Yes. I wrote that song when I was leaving Cabo, Los Cabos, Mexico. I had a concert there. And I was so grateful. I woke up really grateful that morning. I took a hot bath. And I just wanted to thank God. And I remember just crying, just thanking God for everything, for my whole life, for all the experiences. And I just started singing that song. So I turned my phone on to voice memo, and I sang the song. And then I sent it to my producer, Chris Big Dog Davis. And he came up with such beautiful music to it. It was just amazing. And then we both sat in the studio. After I recorded it, we said, well, who can we get to play on this? And I said, I just feel like Kirk Whalum is the man for this. Right. I sent it to Kirk Whalum, and he called me back. He said, "MAYSA, I don't think I can do this song." I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm sorry." I said, "That's okay. It's okay." He said, "No." He said, "I don't know if I want to get through it. It's such a beautiful song." And so he was so excited to do it. So he did it and just put a beautiful solo on it. It's so perfect. And in my mind, having Kirk Whalum, who worked with Whitney Houston, on my record, it's just like, wow.
And that's a beautiful compliment that he gave to you in terms of him struggling with whether or not he could really pull this selection off. Then I saw a title and I said to myself, is this what I think it is? You recorded You Know How to Love Me, which was a wonderful hit by Phyllis Hyman.
Yes.
We love her in this area, just like we all love you. Talk about that selection.
Wow. A friend of mine asked me he said, "You never do any Phyllis Hyman. Why don't you ever do Phyllis Hyman?" And I said, "Okay, I'll try. I'll do a cover of Phyllis Hyman." I just, there's some singers who are very difficult to cover. And I think as much as I enjoy doing cover songs, and I'm known for doing cover songs, I kind of had to walk this fine line of what I should and should not do. There's some songs of hers I would probably never cover, but this one I just thought is a little safer, and I just love the song so much. I just wanted to try it out, and so that's why we chose this song. You Know How to Love Me.
That was one of my favorites from Phyllis Hyman as well. So I was so glad that you were able to capture
Uh-huh.
a spirit of Phyllis Hyman and put your own soul into it. So thank you for that.
Thank
Now let's
you.
talk about, I alluded to something before, in an area that I think you are a pioneer, and that is with kitchen karaoke.
Oh, thank you.
You started, I have been a fan of that since the beginning. You started something that a lot of artists had to do during the pandemic, but you were way ahead of it. You were
Yes.
before the pandemic.
Oh,
Talk
yeah.
about how you even got that idea. I love it. You're there with your crew. You got the candelabra there. You know, it's like, wow, we're actually, I think we're actually in her house. And
That's right.
so tell me about how you pulled that off.
It started because my friend Walter Beasley, he was like, "MAYSA, you got to try this thing. It's called Facebook Live." And I was like, "Really? I don't know. This is 2016." And I was like, "I don't know." So I started from my loft in this apartment I was living in at the time, because I wanted my son to go to a certain school. So we moved to that area. And I decided to do that. And it just snowballed into this beautiful thing with this huge family of people that come in and see and watch every Sunday night. And I sing to people to thank them for my career. And I sing to people who can't come see me in concert. And I sing to the people who want to hear more songs that I can do in an hour and a half of the concert. So it's our time together. It's to help everybody get ready for their work week and to wind down from a work week. It's just something, the way I show love to people is to sing to them. And so this is one of the ways I'm grateful that I'm able to. It was right at the time of the pandemic. It came in right on time. I was able to help even my friends and peers and colleagues to help teach them, show them how to do it for themselves, to stay in touch with everybody, because it was just a rough time for all of us. And now, we're going to expand kitchen karaoke right now. We're going to do something called MAYSA's Dinner with Jazz and Soul, where we take it out live on the road. And it's going to be different formats, and we're working on all of it right now. And I just hope we can get it out very soon.
Well, keep us informed in terms of what you've got coming up. One of the things that's going to happen next week is that you're going to be a part of a benefit concert in support of the Carter Barron. We're excited about that. It's going to be at the Howard Theater. The Temptations are also on the bill, so I want to make sure that our audience knows that that's something they will want to check out at the Howard Theater on Monday. And that we want to know about when we're doing the dinner tours with you. And what else do you have coming up that's in a performance venue?
Wow, I have so many. I'm going to be on the Dave Coz cruise for 3 weeks, starting at the end of April to the middle of May. That's one of the big things. I have shows in Detroit, and then I'm going to do a few shows with Incognito in June. They're coming back to the States. So that my whole summer is very full, and I will be updating my website with all my tour dates very soon.
Well, thank you so much. I think it's wonderful that you have the love and always sustainable Incognito. And then you come out and you do your own thing, and it's all wonderful. Anytime you're any place in this area, I know audiences in the DMV have loved you for so long. They continue to love you. I want to remind folks that your new CD, the 14th solo CD, is out, and it is called Music for Your Soul.
Yes.
You will love it. It's 19 cuts, folks. 19. So you're gonna have a lot of MAYSA for a long period of time. And thank you, MAYSA, for being with us today on Win TV.
Thank you so much.
And nice segue from talking a little bit about MAYSA coming up, performing here in DC next week. We're going to be talking with next Gloria Hightower, who is a part of the effort here in the metro area to restore the Carter Barron Amphitheater. Is she there? Yes, she is.
Yes, I am. And good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Gloria is one of the founders and the current lead of the Friends of Carter Barron Foundation of the Performing Arts. And I was just mentioning in our conversation with MAYSA, Gloria, that you all have a concert. I want to get that, again, reminder out of the way. And then we could talk a little bit about what your foundation is doing. That performance with the Temptations and MAYSA is this coming Monday, April the 10th at the Howard Theater. Tickets are at howardtheater.com. Is that correct? And
The Howard Theater.
The Howard Theater. And that's where you can go online and get your tickets for this very, very, very important benefit concert, because it's all about restoring and bringing back to us a beloved venue in the DC area, the Carter Barron. Talk to us, Gloria, about what you and the foundation have been doing.
The Friends of Carter Barron Foundation for the Performing Arts was founded technically in Washington, D.C. Before you could become a 501, you have to file within the state for which you reside. And in doing so, we did that in 1990 after we had to
I think we have some freezing up of Gloria, but one of the things that we should know about what they're doing is that the foundation has collaborated with a number of government agencies. A lot of people may not know this, but the Carter Barron is a part of the National Park Services. And that's the entity within the federal government that oversees the monuments. They oversee a lot of our major parks around the country. So that's a big undertaking to deal with that particular government agency. And they also work with a number of other government commissions. So we want to make sure that we support the Carter Barron. Denise is back on. Denise and I grew up in DC, so we know about the Carter Barron.
Oh, hey, Brenda, you know, we used to walk to the Carter Barron, go there and check out the shows. And, you know, as a kid, you know, the first time I thought, it was a wonderful venue. I mean, it was not like, you know, it was neighborhood,
yes,
but it was just a wonderful venue to be out there under the stars, to hear this great music. You know, it was a real treat for those of us who grew up in the city and really, really got a chance to see some great performances. I think I think I saw Earth, Wind and Fire there. I'm trying to think of some, Tina Marie, Chevy's giving me some, yeah, but I remember that show. It was the first time I'd seen Tina Marie live. So, and probably the last time I saw her live too, but it was a great, great venue.
I saw Harry Belafonte a couple of times. He used to come every summer. It was either Harry Belafonte was either with Odetta or Miriam Makeba. I remember seeing the Temptations. In fact, it was the last tour that Eddie Kendricks was performing with the Temptations. And I want to welcome back Gloria with us, because I think it's important for people to know that you're working with a number of government agencies to do things to bring back the Carter Barron. And then there is money that is needed. Talk about the fundraising. I mean, just what are we talking about in terms of?
Well, first of all, yes, it's $30 million. The National Park Service has stated that is at minimum to reopen the doors. And as a result of the 2011 August earthquake that hit our city, not only was the National Monument and the Cathedral impacted, so was the amphitheater. But we only learned that in 2015 from the National Park Service. And anybody knows when, you know, structure is erupted from an earthquake or tornado or a major storm, you know, it's due for immediate resolve. If not, it's going to face closure. And so as of March the 1st, 2017, it was forced to close down. And as usual,
you just gave us some interesting news, because I didn't know anything about the earthquake. You know,
yes, the earthquake was here in DC.
Yes,
it really was.
And how it harmed a lot of our facilities. So thank you for enlightening us about that. And so what are the next steps? $30 million, a minimum of what's needed. And I see, looking at our time, we want to wrap things up. Tell me what else you all are doing to make sure that a beloved institution like the Carter Barron comes back.
You know what? Because culture is a universal language. You have to educate people about what's really going on and what has happened. A lot of people don't even know the history behind the Sesquicentennial Amphitheater that became the Carter Barron Amphitheater. They don't even know that President Harry S. Truman was living in celebrating our founding fathers. They don't even know the fact. And I found this out single-handedly from the approval of the first Black regional director of the National Park Service, Mr. Robert Stanton. And I found it out as a performer. I was the opening act of the Whispers in '88. So moving on, we became the first organization to kick off a musical under the Marion S. Berry Summer Youth Program in 1992. And we were featured on Fox News. You know, we brought in Arthur Cotton Moore to do a walkthrough in the late 90s. I raised $1.7 million via the help of David A. Catania, then a Republican. And today we are facing $3 million. You know, one of the things I don't do is run from people. I believe that people, once they are educated, they understand when you talk about performing arts, it's not a race, ethnic issue. It is a universal issue. For a great reason. That is our only community theater. Today, MGM and Live Nation are locking everybody, meaning once they come to DC, you must come to their venues and pay the high-end costs. And we have to preserve the gift that President Truman has granted. Carter Barron is unlike anyone. That it salutes our founding fathers. I'm going to say it again. And that's why, to me, you know, when you're in that 4,200 space, scenic nature of a beauty, you're absolutely mesmerized when you're singing up and the stars are looking down and the audience have that chance to really, really capture that moment. So on Monday, Easter Monday, we want to do an event where we're going to give $180,000 to the $30 million that it takes to revitalize the amphitheater. 180.
And thank you, Gloria, for letting us know that. And I thank you for making sure we know the history. Again, folks, Gloria is with the Friends of Carter Barron Foundation of the Performing Arts. We have a story about what they're doing in the latest issue of the Washington Informer. And you need to join this foundation because it takes a lot of people to make sure that we keep this history of DC alive and going and prospering and being back open again for us. Thanks, Gloria, so much. And good luck with the concert on Monday. I'm going to take it out to Denise so she can close us out today.
Thanks, Brenda. Two great interviews. I appreciate all the time that you've given and all the great information. I mean, the Carter Barron event coming up and MAYSA, boy, some interesting stories. Wannabe opera singer turned phenomenal jazz singer. It's just wonderful that she took the opportunity to speak with us. And I really did enjoy the interview. So I'm going to wish you a happy Easter and to all of our viewers. And we certainly hope that you will, as she said, continue to read the Washington Informer, the print edition, as well as reading us online at WashingtonInformer.com. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe and enjoy your family. All righty. Take care, and we'll see you next week.
In what could prove a significant move for communities facing air pollution, the Environmental Protection Agency proposed on Thursday that chemical plants nationwide should measure certain hazardous compounds that cross beyond their property lines and reduce them when they are too high. The proposed rule will reduce cancer risk and other exposure for communities that live close to harmful emitters. The data will be made public, and the results would force companies to fix problems that increase emissions. Beverly Wright, executive director of the Deep South Center of Environmental Justice, commented saying, quote, "This is probably the most significant rule I'm experiencing in my 30 years of working in Cancer Alley, an area dense with petrochemical development along the Gulf Coast." Cornell University scientists have dusted off an archaic, now 120-year-old electrochemical equation in order to manage atmospheric carbon dioxide and convert the gas into a useful product. The calculation, named the Cantrell equation, named after chemist Frederick Gardner Cantrell, who developed it in 1903, can help today's researchers understand the several reactions that carbon dioxide can take when electrochemistry is applied and pulsed on a lab bench. The electrochemical reduction of carbon dioxide presents an opportunity to transform the gas from an environmental liability to a feedstock for chemical products, or as a medium to store renewable electricity in the form of chemical bonds, as is done in nature. And what could prove a significant